What's up, fellow ecom founders? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make big money from day one on Shopify in 2025. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the main thing. If you're not respecting this, you will for sure burn thousands of dollars on producing ads, testing ads, and that's a sure way to fail. So I want you to really stick with me. By the end of the video, you will never run in all of these like scam stuff that a lot of agencies are trying to talk you into. So let's go over this. First of all, is this a scam? No. Is this a real store? Yes. Is this my store? Yes. Obviously with business partners, because that's how you scale. That's how the real guys do it. So I just refreshed it. As you can see, we made over 2 million over the last 90 days. Now that we got this out of the way and I got your attention, I want to show you what the old way is and what the new way is. Okay, so here you see this crying guy. This was me before I understood this. This is many of you potentially right now. You're like sick and tired, tried out like many creative agencies. Maybe you're working with one and you're wondering, why is Marcus looking like this here? Right? Maybe not exactly like that, but he's looking pretty close to this guy. Chilled, relaxed, doing 2 million in the last 90 days. Doesn't seem too stressful. Why is that? What is he doing differently? I will show you exactly how you can become another Chat. That's how we call this guy, actually. It's Chat. This I don't even know. Doesn't even have a name. Okay? So what's the problem? Most of the ecom founders, ecom brands, they are doing the following. They are installing a negative creative flywheel. This is how I call it. So basically what they do, or most of the times actually what the agency is doing, or freelancer or whatever, they just come up with like totally subjective, unvalidated creative ideas. Maybe they see, oh, like this type of concept is going viral on TikTok right now. Let's just copy this, right? Let's do this. And then maybe let's do a 3 reasons why concept, right? Because that always works usually. Or let's just, I think when I look at this product, I think this should be the winning angle, right? So it's all subjective. It's kind of like somebody getting in front of a whiteboard and just like rambling and coming up with random ideas, okay? So that's one way to do it. But what happens then? The next step is what they do is they directly jump into producing creatives, and not just any creatives, but obviously like video creatives with like lots of cutting, editing, blah, 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 getting content from UGC creators. So at that point, you're 3 weeks to 4 weeks in, you haven't tested anything yet, and you're basically betting on these subjective ideas that, this has to work. Why not? This should be working. Then what you do, or what these agencies do, is they throw everything on Meta, and now the interesting phase begins. Let's hope that something of that will work. Let's pray, and hopefully something will work. Okay. So at that point, you already paid for the content. Most likely, you paid for a retainer without getting anything yet, and You're 1.5 months in and you still don't know what's really working, but you're spending ad spend every single day, right? If you're lucky, you will find something that is working. Most of the times you don't find anything that is really working and that you can build on top of, okay? And then what they do is they just like ride this winner until it dies, right? And they do like a bunch of iterations and like try to do the same thing again. But the problem is you don't really know why it worked in the first place. Was it the creative concept? Was it the messaging and the angle? Was it the creator? Was it the target audience that we were speaking to, right? So none of this is really like systemized and you have no idea why it really works. So you cannot really recreate success because you don't know how the success came there in the first place. Okay. And then what do? You do the same thing over and over again. Okay, this didn't work. Okay, let's try another angle. Maybe we should do like a different angle. I read this there and I saw another brand, they're doing this. Let's do the same thing. And the whole thing just repeats over and over and over again. But what really happens is that it just drains your wallet. That's what really happens, right? So the agency is getting their fee. You are producing a bunch of creatives that maybe not even like they don't even resonate with your brand, with your target audience that you've got until now. And you're producing, like you're spending a bunch of ad spend just figuring out what's working. Okay, so the reality is, let's assume these are all different creatives, okay, that were produced. Let's assume they produced 10 creatives. Then the reality is that from those 10 creatives, maybe if you're in a good spot, maybe one of these works, okay? So your creative hit rate, one second. So your creative hit rate is actually, let me get my internet back. There you go. So your creative hit rate is actually 1 of 10. Okay. So this means, let me see. 1 second. Let's fix this quickly. You see, this is all live, nothing staged, nothing cut. That's just real, raw life. Okay. Okay, we're back. So this means that 1 of 10 creatives is actually working. That's a creative hit rate of 10%. But you paid for 9 out of these 10 creatives. You paid for them, okay, to produce them, to run after creators, to review creatives because some creator like misspelled your ad name, your brand name, or what have you. And then obviously you paid to test them. So you paid to test for 9 of these concepts. And that's what's draining your pocket. Even if you find a winner, this winner now has to overcompensate the 9 fails. Okay, that's a pretty tough task. Okay, so what's the chat way? What's this way here? What's my way? What's the way that I found through going through all of this? Okay, I was there. Same, maybe you are here, maybe you are there if you watch this. So that's the other way of doing it. And this is basically not jumping into the ads right away. That's the mistake that I see being done the most. So first, you do proper market research. You research the market needs. Who is my actual target audience? Who are the customers that I want to attract? Who are the people that I want to attract? What's the competition doing then also, right? Just to understand like what are maybe gaps in the market when it comes to communication, okay? Then you identify angles, right? And messages that resonate with the market. This is the crucial part because you have different angles for one product, right? You could have like some kind of supplement and maybe it helps against like wrinkles, but it also helps against, joints, for example, right? Just to name one example. Or you could have like some skincare serum and it helps against hyperpigmentation, but it also helps against wrinkles. So those are 2 different types of angles, 2 different types of target audiences behind these angles. So we would obviously talk to them in a different way, but we have to first figure out who should we actually double down on, right? Before we do all the heavy lifting and like produce a bunch of creatives that are super expensive. Okay, then you validate them with little effort, and I'll show you in a second how to do that, right? With little to no money and very little effort. This way, you identify winning angles and you can already start to scale them very efficiently. And that's where you then go ahead and produce more expensive video creatives and more elaborated creative types. But you already know this is the angle that the market, like where the market is. This is where the market is. So that's where you double down. So you know that the ROI, the return on investment on every new creative that you're doing is higher. And I'm going to show you how this looks like. Okay. So the very first thing is really to do research and to understand who is my customer, who is the person that I want to sell this product to, and that actually will have a positive experience with my product. Okay. So how do you do that? Very simply said, you research, try to understand, you look at the reviews, okay? You look at the reviews of your product. Maybe you have your product on Amazon. If you don't have a lot of reviews, look at similar products with a similar formulation, if you're a supplement brand or like a skincare brand, for example, and look at what do people say, right? What are the main motivations that people have for purchasing this product, right? So I'm looking for motivations. And more often than not, behind a motivation is actually a pain point, right? And this is what leads to angles, finally. So what are other sources for pain points? For pain points, go to Reddit. Understand, like, what are people that have these pain points? What are they saying? Or that are looking for a solution like that? Look at your customers. That's actually the first place where I would start. You're sitting on a pot of gold because people already purchased your product and they leave you clues on why they purchased the product and where the product actually helps them to solve a pain point. Okay? So then you don't need to like go out and like make crazy claims if they're not true. You just flip around what your product is already doing. Okay? Another one is to go to Facebook comments on your ads that you've run so far, or maybe you have a Facebook group. So to cut that short, take all the sources that you can possibly get and try to figure out what are potential customers. Then from there, this is where you will have like different pain points, different motivations. Those are the angles that you create. Then for every single angle, you define 5 to 10 messages, okay? 5 to 10 messages. Those could be like just like simple quotes, right? The only tea made for the afternoon slump, for example. I just like, for simplification, obviously those would be different messages. But then you can test these simple image creatives against each other, only testing the message. So everything else stays the same. You only test the message on these creatives. And this way you can validate and say, okay, actually angle 2, that's my winning angle. This is where I have the most positive feedback, maybe even the cheapest cost per acquisition already on Meta. So then what you do is you create all these beautiful ads that you want to create, UGC ads, founder ads, whatever it is, for this specific angle. So you're avoiding 90% of the stuff that would have never worked, even if you have a beautiful creative, okay? So this way, you will test these creatives. And what comes out is that, yes, of course, not everything will work. But maybe here, you will have a hit rate of having like 5 to 6 creatives that are performing on day 1. That's the difference, okay? So here, let's say we have 5 of 10. Even if it's 4 of 10, that's 4 times higher than the hit rate that we had before, okay? So if I have a hit rate of 50%, just because I did this little work before, and yes, I mean, it's Chad, Chad is lazy. Chad doesn't want to work. So he only does that so that he doesn't have to work so hard afterwards and doesn't have to like try to fix things in the ads manager and try to like fiddle around with manual bidding or whatever the case may be, just because he didn't do the work before. So yes, we want to, have an easy life and scale easily without having to, work a lot. But there's some things that they just make sense. It just makes sense to do this one time in the beginning. And then you will have just such an easy life afterwards. So this is what I want to show you with this video. Do this work before. Validate these angles before you jump into this crazy, getting out and doing a bunch of creatives and praying that it works. This is what makes the difference. And this is how you can make money on Shopify from day one. I hope that was helpful. If you want more insights on that, if you want me to guide you along the way, which is exactly what I do with brand owners. I'm owning my brands as well, but I'm also mentoring brand owners, brand founders, their teams, and I'm teaching them how to do all of this stuff in-house without having to rely on any external partner. There are many amazing case studies, brands that went from 40K to $1 million a month, brands that went from 12K to 300K per month. And the reality is they all own their acquisition, okay? They're not dependent on anybody outside, and they actually understand the stuff that is running in their ad account. So if you want that, go ahead, click the link below in the description. There's a little video where I show exactly who I can help, because I cannot help everybody, and I'm not working with everybody. But if this sounds interesting to you, go ahead, click the link, book a call, and then we see if there's a fit, and I can help you to get to 100K, get to 500K, get to $1 million a month while owning the whole thing. Okay? I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one. Take care.